One question, do you think a strong dollar is always good news? Because a lot of people do. If the dollar is strong, then everything should get better. But here's the intrigue. A strong dollar doesn't affect your life only when you travel. It quietly touches your grocery basket, your job opportunities, your purchasing power, and even your investments. And the most interesting part, sometimes when the dollar strengthens, you see cheaper on one side, but on the other side, life still feels harder. How can that be? In this video, I'll explain the strong dollar, not in headline language, but in everyday life language. And by the end, I'll give you a simple framework: when to hold cash, when to protect yourself, and when to diversify, not panic, a plan. Let's begin. First, what does a strong dollar actually mean? In simple terms, the dollar gains value against other currencies. So $1 buys more, and at first glance, that sounds great. Because the most visible benefit of a strong dollar is this: imports can get cheaper. What are imports? A lot of what you buy comes from other countries: electronics, clothing, some food products, parts related to fuel and energy. When the dollar is stronger, the dollar price of those goods can fall, or at least rise more slowly. And many people stop right there and say, so a strong dollar is good. But the system doesn't end there. Because a strong dollar has a hidden bill. Every advantage comes with a trade-off. Now let's go to that trade-off. A strong dollar can make exports harder. What are exports? Goods a country produces and sells to the rest of the world. When the dollar strengthens, products from a dollar-based economy can look more expensive abroad. That means foreign buyers look for alternatives, sales can slow, and some companies feel pressure. You won't always see this directly in the store, but you can feel it in the job market. Because when export-driven businesses earn less, they tighten costs. Sometimes hiring slows, sometimes wage growth slows, sometimes job risk rises. So a strong dollar can create cheapness on one side, and earning feels harder on the other side. Now let's move to something even more interesting: commodities. Commodities are things like oil, gold, metals, wheat, and many of them are priced globally in dollars. When the dollar strengthens, commodity prices can sometimes face downward pressure. Why? Because for countries using other currencies, those commodities become more expensive, demand can weaken, and prices can get pushed down. And that creates another chain: energy prices, production costs, transportation, and your daily expenses. But pay attention, it doesn't always work the same way. Sometimes geopolitics, supply problems, or shocks can overwhelm the dollar effect. So a strong dollar does not mean prices always fall. It means the system gets a certain kind of pressure. Now let's go to emerging markets and dollar-denominated debt. This is the most hidden part, but it can create the biggest wave. Many countries and companies borrow in dollars. When the dollar strengthens, paying that debt becomes harder because their income is in local currency, but the debt is measured in dollars. What does that mean? When the dollar rises, their debt feels like it grows, and that can create stress in markets. And that stress can spread into global investing. Money flows out of riskier markets, risk appetite drops, and people move towards safer assets. Now you might ask, what does that have to do with me? Now we translate it to personal finance. A strong dollar affects your life in 3 areas. 1. Buying decisions. 2. Saving and currency choices. 3. Investing and diversification. First, buying decisions. If the dollar is strong, import-heavy purchases can sometimes be a better moment. Electronics, tech, some online purchases. But here's the rule: don't use a strong dollar as an excuse for impulse spending. Because the feeling of cheaper can push you to spend more. The real win isn't buying more because it's cheaper. The real win is buying what you actually need smarter. Second, saving and currency choices. This is where many people make mistakes. Some people say, the dollar's rising, I should convert everything. Others say, the dollar's strong, it's too late. The truth is usually in the middle. You need one principle. What is your savings goal? If your goal is short-term stability, you shouldn't tie everything to one currency, because currency is also risk. A healthier approach is often a basket, not one currency, a mix. Third, investing in diversification. In strong dollar periods, some foreign markets can look weaker in dollar terms. That can sometimes be an opportunity for long-term investors, but it still has risk. That's why you need a framework. Here's the simple framework I promised. Hold, hedge, diversify. 1. Hold. When should you hold cash? If you expect big expenses in the next 3 to 6 months, or your income is unstable, cash protects you from stress. The goal here isn't maximum returns. The goal is control and peace of mind. 2. Hedge. When should you protect yourself? If your spending is currency sensitive, if you buy from abroad, or your income depends on currency moves, you should think about protection. And hedge doesn't have to mean complicated tools. Sometimes it simply means spreading your currency risk. 3. Diversify. When should you diversify? If your goal is 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, your biggest enemy isn't daily movement, it's being tied to one single scenario. Diversification is your one event won't destroy me plan, and it's one of the strongest defenses for the middle class. Now let's close the intrigue. A strong dollar can give you a cheaper feeling on one side, but it can also create pressure in the system, exports, jobs, global debt stress, and market shifts. So a strong dollar is not simply good or bad, it's balance. And once you understand the balance, you get fooled less. Now here's a quick checklist. For the end of the video, save it or screenshot it. In a strong dollar period, 1. Plan import purchases, don't impulse buy. 2. Don't tie savings to one currency, think in baskets. 3. If you have big expenses in 3 to 6 months, protect your cash share. 4. If you have long-term goals, diversify. 5. If your job or income risk rises, manage debt and spending more strictly. And now the final question. Where do you feel the strong dollar the most? In groceries, in online purchases, or in work and income? Write it in the comments, and if you want, in the next video, I'll cover this. What happens when the dollar weakens and how to position your money smarter then? Subscribe to Finex, don't miss the